press record. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I know. So funny.
Never heard that before. Okay. So like warn everybody, I guess. All right, cool. So, and do you want me to say, like, do you have like a title for yourself? Like, hi, I'm Isabelle. And this is Zimmerman and this is what I do kind of thing.
So I just say I'm Isabelle Zimmerman and I'm a full-time ascension teacher, and most human beings don't know what that is.
Okay. I love it.
But I can introduce myself.
Cool. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so do you want to start off with your intro and then?
No, because I edited at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, hi everyone. Porter, I am so excited to have this conversation with you and being on your podcast. My name is Isabelle Zimmerman. You can find me by Googling or searching Attracting Wisdom. I have podcasts and a YouTube channel and blogs and all sorts of little things there. And I would say I am a full-time ascension teacher, or I like to call myself a cosmic cheerleader, to help facilitate your connection with your inner being and teach some high-level concepts around the design of physical reality and all that is. Because I'm really an operations girl. I really like to see how the system is created for greater understanding. And so, yes, I am a psychic and channeler. And I would say how I became a psychic and channeler and how I met Porter was through the teachings of Joshua. Both her and I met Gary Temple Bodley and went into a program, and we learned all about beliefs and limiting beliefs. And that led me to my connection with my inner being, and I started to channel the divine and the celestial beings. So that is how Porter and I know each other. We have a commonality of coursework that we both took, and I would say I'm very grateful for it. How about you, Porter?
Totally. Yeah, that was a huge launching point for me. I mean, my life completely changed after that course. It was awesome. Do you must have had something before that course though? I mean, you must have had some inkling that you were psychic and that, you were like, because you talk about these beings very, like they're there. I mean, I've actually never heard anybody talk about this, like they're your friends and they're
they
there.
Are. They're my total friends. So, okay. I would say science led me to being a psychic. Gary, or teachings of Joshua, unlocked it. But how I was led was really through science and the passion of learning. I was a podcast junkie. I had an hour commute each way, and I would listen to Money Planet, and I would listen to Freakonomics and anything really sciencey. I was also writing a young adult novel, and I started writing that young adult novel because the Harry Potter series ended. And I was really, really bummed. And I'm like, shit, what am I going to read now? And I'm like, I'm going to write my own book. And so when you are faced to write your own book, you're like, I remember in school saying, write what you know. And then I went, write what I know. How about write what I like? And so this is what I wrote. Angels. I was interested in angels, which of course makes perfect sense since I work with Michael and Raphael all the time. I wrote down the CERN collider because I was interested in quantum physics. So the CERN collider is the particle collider in Switzerland that smashes particles to figure out what atoms are made of. Okay. So you can only imagine angels and CERN collider. quantum physics, and I was interested in fairies. So that feels very random. Angels, fairies, and quantum physics. But that's what my young adult novel was about. And now I can totally see how that was perfect.
Did you end up finishing that?
I did not. I worked on it for 9 years. I actually joined a conference center. A conference, sorry, a writers conference, Romance Writers of America. It was Tracy DeLuise, who's another Porter and I mutual friend. And Tracy said, Isabelle, in any industry, you should start going to conferences, start immersing yourself in that industry, and that will really assist you in your game, whatever you want to learn. And so she's a fitness person, and she would go to fitness conferences and get certified and really learn from the people that would go to these conferences and gatherings. And so I said, okay. So I started looking. I looked at murder mystery conferences, and Romance Writers of America was close to my house. They had 100 members meeting once a month. And my story was a love story. So I said, all right. So I joined their conference and I met all these women that publish novels. I learned about the editing world, the publishing world. I think it was perfect training ground for me, because one of the things that we would always work on was point of view. Where is your character's point of view? So when Joshua Teaching said, where are your beliefs? It was just a different terminology. Point of view, beliefs, it's the same.
Totally. That's so interesting that you were gravitated towards romance novels, because I got really interested in the Outlander books. Are you
Yes,
familiar?
I read them all.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I haven't read them all. I'm on the second one, but I heard that Diana Gabaldon,
Yeah.
she like, her editors didn't know where to put her book in the beginning. They were like, this is kind of sci-fi, kind of whatever. So she had to pick between sci-fi and romance. And I guess the romance world is just so much more readership. So she ended up picking romance. So I thought that was interesting.
I am so grateful. I'm still in touch with some of those women. I am just so grateful. I've developed a friendship. There's suspense romance. There's so many, there's sci-fi romance. There's so much genre in the romance, but romance, it makes perfect sense because it's in the frequency of love.
Yeah.
And love is so powerful.
Yeah.
So of course, romance writing is going to be a huge genre. Like, now I get it, but yeah. But as I kind of reference Harry Potter a lot, but like a muggle, a non-magical folk would not understand that. But a magical folk totally gets that love is super powerful.
Totally. Totally. What do you feel about romance in terms of like the reality of it? I was having a conversation with my ex-husband about this actually the other night, because he was talking with someone who was I guess she had studied like the romance languages and the history of romance and in college. And she was saying that there was basically like this failed experiment that people, put all this like undue pressure on each other to create these feelings that, I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, well that's a perspective. Yeah.
So what's really interesting is, I had seen a TED talk of the dating site Cupid, and they were using algorithms to create romance or relationships between humans. Even before I became aware or psychic, I was always interested in energy and relationships and soul work. And so I was always curious about attraction. I was always curious. I read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I think John Gray, that was a really good book. I think it's like from the 90s, if anyone wants to look that up.
Yeah.
There's the 5 languages of love, like, are you a bird, a goldfish, a dog, a cat? How do you want to be communicated? The love language. And so I was always, always interested in love. I really was, looking back on it. And now from, I call them, so I'll say spirit, or I'll call them my non-physical peeps, or I'll call them by names, but they are very real. I would have to say, when I first connected was Isis, and I saw her. I went into my car and I put bilateral beats, and I meditated, and then I asked to connect, and I saw her little face, like a reverse image of a photograph. And I was shocked. I was so shocked that I connected. And then I channeled a message, and then I wrote to Gary and Joshua, and they're like, yes. And then the next day, Kimberly Lette, Beings of Light, channeled Lakishma, and Lakishma said, you connected. And Kimberly didn't know. And I was like, oh my God, they all know. They're all in cahoots on the other side. Like, I felt like that little Dorothy going behind the curtain, seeing the man behind the curtain. Like, I just stepped into like a whole new world. And when I work with my celestial beings, I feel like that commercial from the M&M. So there was a commercial with the characters of M&Ms, and they see Santa Claus, and Santa Claus sees them, and they both say, you're real, and they faint. That's what it feels like for me. Like, every time like a new entity comes, I'm like, Thor, you're real? Oh my gosh, fairies are real, angels are real. But yeah, they're all real. They're as real as the pillow that you're leaning against. I had to understand it scientifically, to be honest with you, and feel it. And it was a process for me. But now that, you got me as like a senior in college. So
You've been doing
like,
it a little.
I'm used to this world now,
Yeah.
but like in the beginning, I was not used to it. I was just like, what? Oh my God, people are going to think I'm crazy. And now I'm like, you can't see radio waves in the room.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's advanced math. It's fine.
Yeah. You don't seem all that concerned.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So when you do you hear, you said you saw the image of Isis, like, do you often see things, or?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that there's phases and stages, and then I'll go back to love, because they're telling me we need to go back to that, a higher perspective. One of the interesting things was my eyes were closed, and so I would say it's like a download of an image. It's something. I do past life regressions. If I asked you, Porter, what was your favorite costume you wore as a child, you could recall it, right? And you could almost see it, and you could probably even describe it to me, right? You could describe that costume and kind of see it in your mind's eye, but you don't see it like your hand, like in front of your face, right? So a download is similar of a recall of a memory, but sometimes I see a visualization, like a recall of a memory of my favorite costume. And sometimes it seems physical in my mind's eye. And I'm beginning to understand. So when I channel and when I hear them, it's in my mind. Porter can't hear them like I can hear them, because if we were playing a radio in the background, we're both listening to the same song. But Porter and I have access to the same information. She can reach for the same information, but it will be filtered through her beingness, her energy field. And my messages are filtered through my beingness, my energy field, my beliefs.
Mhm.
And so when you work with a psychic or when you have somebody channeling, you just listen to the message and see what resonates with you. Because everything is filtered through that energy field. So my messages are filtered through me, but they may resonate with you,
Mhm.
you know? And I hear them, but I hear, feel, and it's quick. It's fast. That's why I call it a download,
Mhm.
because it's not me. It's like, I know it. Another analogy that I really like, it's like if you open up a book that you did not write and you started reading, it's your voice, but not your words.
Mm.
That's what channeling feels like.
Mm.
It's my voice. It sounds like me, but it's not my words. And there's feelings. Sometimes they'll download a feeling from me, or a concept, or an image, and words. They really communicate in a robust way, and it's cool. It's
Mm.
cool. It's probably why I'm so passionate in teaching everyone to channel. Like, yeah, I want everyone to have this ability. And
Yeah.
there are different modalities, and I'm just but one teacher, but yeah. And if I can lend some credibility or belief or possibility or spark something within you to know that it's possible for you, man, that's great.
So what are we
Okay.
supposed to come back to about love?
Okay. So now love. Okay. I am recently divorced. And when Spirit said to me to go on Bumble, a dating app, I was just like, but Porter and I, we both know that we have to push past fear and be uncomfortable. So I'm like, okay. So there I am, downloading the app, um, setting up a profile, putting up pictures, writing about myself. I write that I'm a psychic and a full-time ascension teacher, and it's okay, you don't know what it is. I just threw it out there. I'm like, I'm going to be me, you know? So anyone
Saves
who's
time.
going to be interested in like talking to me has to know, you know, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And maybe it was a little bit of um, screw you, Spirit, for making me do this. I'm going to make it really hard. I do call them mother effers all the time, just so you know, and they're my best friends. And they laugh. They're like, Isabelle, you're so funny. You're so funny. We just love you. We just love you. I'm like, whatever. Um, so there I did. So it felt like, oh my gosh, they're judging me on looks. They're judging me. I just felt like judged. I felt vulnerable. I had to go through it all.
Yeah.
But recently, so I would say it's a series of steps. But here's the concept that Spirit would like me to bring forth to this conversation. Your attraction to another is coming from your inner being. It's coming from divine. You may think you are attracted to another at your level of consciousness. You might say, oh, he's got a good job, he's got a nice smile, he's the right height, he's the right shape, he's the right education level, whatever. That's your ego mind. But your attraction to another is coming from divine. And so we've all experienced this. We've all met somebody really good looking, and then you start talking to them and there is no attraction.
Yeah.
And we've all met somebody not so good looking in the perceived human judgment perspective, or not the right type of person, whatever. And we're really attracted.
Yeah.
So it kind of allows me to soften who I'm attracted to and who I'm not attracted to, and who I have feelings for. Or like, one of the weird things for me was I had pitter patter for my husband for, I don't know, 25 years. And so when that pitter patter went away, almost seemingly overnight, I was kind of stunned. I was kind of shocked. And then when I uncovered that my cycle with my husband was complete, and that it was time for me to let him go because he could not follow me on my journey, it was hard, because I wanted that feeling of excitement and love for him to return, but it was coming from my inner being. So all of you who are out there, like, wondering, why can't I like this person anymore? Why can't I be in love anymore? Is it my fault? Is it their fault? Just know there's a lot more going on, and just soften your judgment around it.
Yeah.
And it's okay if it's not mutual, and it's okay if cycles end. It's all okay, because there's a lot more going on than we realize, and there are soul contracts, and there's just a lot. Okay. The other concept that they're having me work on, yeah, I'm in process, so you got me raw, guys. I just want to let you know, personally, Archangel Michael has really helped me heal my perspective around men. I worked with men. I've always relegated them as friends. I understood men really think very differently from females. They tend to be more linear thinking. They can be emotional, but they are not really encouraged to express it. I think men have a tough time communicating how they feel. And when you add sexual attraction, I think it gets even harder, because the fear of loss of love is intense. And so the communication, there's gaps. There's definite gaps. So here I am on Bumble, and they would like me to date. And I said, okay. And then they said, we don't want you to be tied to the outcome. I'm like, okay,
That's always
this is
easy.
That's a common theme, right? Don't be tied to the outcome. Just create for the sake of creating. It's all good. It's all perfect. Meanwhile, you're in pain and suffering. So they said, Isabelle, we want you to, whoever comes into your reality, be very loosey-goosey with it. They could be a friend. They could be a partner. We would like you to allow yourself to have intimacy with someone and maybe not have intimacy with them again. And of course, that bumped up against some of my beliefs, because I want a partner and a connection in a long-term relationship to have intimacy. And the thought to have intimacy for the sake of having intimacy was kind of like big for me, very, very big. And they said, of course, we want you to be comfortable for wherever you are, but we want you to be open to this idea because Isis was very much into sex magic. And this is funny. Spirit is so funny.
Sex magic.
So I have this book. So yes,
oh, wait, show me again. I went through my word.
So it's,
The
I'm going to read it.
Magdalene manuscript.
The Magdalene manuscript, the Alchemist of Horus, and Sex Magic of Isis. So
Magdalene,
sex,
not Mary Magdalene.
yeah, Mary Magdalene. Yep,
But doesn't she come later?
she does.
Okay.
But Isis and Horus were their non-physical entities that mentored Mary Magdalene.
Huh.
Oh, yes, my friends. So Yeshua, Buddha, they all had non-physical entities assisting them on the other side.
Huh. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Cool.
It makes sense because what human knows it, right?
Right.
We completely forget.
Wow. So where did you find that book?
So of course, Spirit, it's channeled by Tom Kenyon, and I think the listeners can go and Google him.
Okay.
He has YouTube channels, and he's a teacher. But Isis, so a lot of people know about sex magic, different terminology, tantric sex.
Okay.
And it was really Isis preparing me before I bought the book around this concept, around sex is a very powerful force and energy to use to unlock abilities within you, psychic abilities within you. And when I'm just going to bring it down to a lower level, when you meditate in a group, it feels very different than meditating alone. When you do yoga in a group, it feels very different than doing yoga alone in your room. Those combined energies are very powerful. And so Mary Magdalene and Yeshua ben Joseph, also known as Jesus, practice sex magic to build his light body.
Yeah. So I read a book more on like the historical end of this, that Jesus and Mary Magdalene's religion, quote unquote, was basically a sex cult. I mean, not in like a seedy way, but like that they taught this sacred form of lovemaking, and this was, and that they were sort of like as a couple, the center of the religion. Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that came from the mystery schools, from Isis and Horus and Osiris. And Isis was mentored by Thoth. And he came from Atlantis. But yes, sex is very powerful. And so Spirit is having me soften my idea of connection and connection to my body and connection to a partner and to not be tied to the partner. Now, I do know that, yes, I will have a partner, but they really want me to explore. They're like, it's okay to kiss another.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, step into your sexuality, Isabelle. You've suppressed it as the career woman. You've suppressed it even within your marriage, because you played the mother.
Mm.
Can a mother be sexy?
Yeah.
Intellectually, I know yes, but will I allow myself to be a sexy mother?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there are things for me to grow and accept. Also, Porter has met me physically. I'm like a 6 foot tall Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So like I have like body issues and I have like shit to work through. No wonder they wanted me to go on the dating app.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe that doesn't align with your belief system yet, but I'm like, dude, there's a lot of tall guys. Like what's the issue with that?
Of course, there is. No, there is. But it's like, I don't know. It's like, so I have a very large chest, and, guys would just stare at my chest, and I was awkward and
Especially if they're shorter.
yeah, especially. But like now I no longer judge it as wrong. Now I can be admired and not say creep, scumbag, loser.
Yeah. Oh, I really feel that, like it's hard to be. Well, I had the added thing of being a mother that was within an organization where you were supposed to be modest all the time too.
Ah,
So, I mean, the way that I was meant to dress and the way that it was really self-enforced. It wasn't like anybody was telling me how to dress, but I wanted to
right.
fit in. And so, like it was hard to feel sexy wearing like baggy clothes, So I never
Sure.
felt sexy in my marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. So sexuality is an important one for me personally to uncover, to be playful, um, to love those that come in my reality in whichever way is comfortable for me. So for example, one of the things that they downloaded was I moved out of my house and we had another dog named Raven, and she's a little Patterdale Terrier, and she's very cute and small and black and sleek. And I have my other dog with me, Bijou, who is white and fluffy and also small and cute.
Mhm.
And when I visited my former home, Raven was there, and as soon as I walked into the door, she ran and got her toy, and she wanted to play, and she was like, "Mama's home, Mama's home," and she's like French kissing me, and she's playing with me, and she's sleeping with me, and then I had to leave. But in that time when I was home, I played with Raven and loved her as much as I was open with her. I just loved her. I accepted her. And then when I left, I was a little sad, but I knew she's not my dog.
Mhm.
She has to be with Ken. She has to be with my daughter.
Mhm.
And so I can love her in that moment in time and kind of let her go.
Mhm.
And that's when spirit is telling me, like, whatever level of connection you have with another, it might just be a text like hi,
Mhm.
and you might never hear from them again, but be fully present and then let it go. And that's why they said no attachments. And I went, shit. So I will tell you the human experience, and I'm sure a lot of women who are listening to this, and guys will, Morgan said guys do this, but women, I don't know. We tend to go 50,000 steps ahead.
Yeah.
We really want commitment and security and a lot. And it's in the beginning stages,
Mhm.
or it may not even develop into anything. But we throw in all these expectations, all these ideas, and we're not loosey goosey. We read things into text messages. We read into things. We try to analyze and dissect what they said, how they said it, how they look, whatever, all of it. And so, yeah, Spirit would like us to be more loosey-goosey with it and open, and just know energetically, the second concept they want me to share is when you connect with another, your energy and their energy is actually commingling. So if you get to the point of connection with intimacy and sex, that sexual act is occurring on different ethers. I'm just going to call it the ether, but different dimensional space. And you're mixing energy of a new creation. And it is powerful, whether you're aware of it or not. And you have to understand your inner being, if you have sex with another, it has been approved and accepted by your inner being. If you were not meant to have sex with that person wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So all sexual encounters, if you have any guilt around any sexual encounter, let it go, girls and boys, let it go, because it was by divine for you. And there was a reason for it.
Yeah.
And you might not be aware what the reason is, but there was a reason for it. So yeah, I guess it's, I'm really uncovering, it's like a new world for me.
Yeah.
New concepts, new ideas, new discoveries.
That's really cool. Yeah. So what I see a lot that happens, which I'm interested to hear your perspective on, if you have one, is that, so we come to the table with these ideas, okay, we're going to be open-minded about this. We're spiritual beings and we're going to take things loosey-goosey and whatever. And then what I see that is like some people who don't want to be in a committed relationship because they're afraid of that. It's like the other end of the spectrum. They're like, well, hooray, this is the space I get to play in, because now I can be in fear about relationships under the guise of being super spiritual about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So, no. No. If you have a fear of commitment and giving your heart to another, you will be encouraged to be in a committed relationship. You have to understand, my lesson is because I would only be in a relationship, in a committed relationship. I would not even consider playing in a non-committed relationship. I wanted connection. Now, will I be able to do that? Guys, I don't know. Probably not. Because it's a big one for me.
We're rooting for you, though.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully it's not going to be long that I have to go through these lessons. Because no, I love being in a partnership. I love being in a committed relationship. I roll around in delight in that way. I can't understand why other people don't like it, to be honest. I mean, I understand fear, but I'm like, wow, it's so worth pushing past that fear. And letting go how long the relationship is that's the back door that they're working with me on, because I want to be all in and let go of how long it will last. I think that's a very softer approach that I can step into. So I am going to go with, I'm in it, I'm all in it, but I'm letting go of the duration and being softer with it.
Yeah.
Because it's too big of a step. Like, it's it's like, another big step I did was I quit my job. I was in corporate America since 14 years old. I'm like, who gets a first job as an office worker at age 14? Isabelle Zimmerman did.
How do you do that? Is that legal?
Yeah. So I used to work for a company called Equifax,
Uh-huh.
and I would make phone calls at night to verify data of their address, their car, their make, their model. And that's what I did at 14, was
Did they
verify
know you
data
were
on the phone.
14?
Yep. I
Wow.
got the job through a friend.
Wow. You're
I was in
industrious.
ninth grade. Yeah.
I was like babysitting and cleaning. I was like cleaning my neighbor's house, I think, for her theater guests. I was like
Nice.
of the
Yeah.
but that's very incorporated. I was like making the little paper things of like, if you need help.
Aw, see?
But it's really it's interesting how we go into different spheres that never would have occurred to me to like go,
No.
corporate something.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I didn't look for the job. Like my friend from school, Andrea, she's like, "Hey, they're hiring. Do you want to apply?" And I said, "Sure. What do I have to do? It's only a few hours a night to make
Mhm.
phone calls." Yeah, all right. Um, so leaving corporate America for me, when Spirit asked me to move on and be a full-time Ascension teacher, it was hard.
Yeah.
It's all I've ever known. It was I had kind of worked through my identity before, but a lot of times people will ask, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" Right?
Yeah.
And not having that, when I had stopped working with my daughter, I stayed home with her for the first 5 years. And boy, I did end up getting a job, but I went through an identity crisis.
Yeah.
I did like this small part-time job for cultural care au pair. And then I would find myself, but I used to do IT, you know,
Right.
I would say the career that I really did,
Right.
um, because I had identified with it. And so this time around, when I was letting go of my corporate career, um, I was okay with it. I was just like, yeah, I'm an Ascension teacher. No one knows what that is. That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
We did it. And that was February 28th of 2021.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, lo and behold, I'm still alive.
Fabulous. I'm glad. Do you want to tell people about your course before we go?
Yes. So there's an amazing, cute little course, changing your vibration. It's on my website. It's like $77 because Isis wanted the sevens. And we do physical exercises, mental exercises, writing exercises, drawing exercises. And it really helps facilitate that connection with your inner being. And I consider that little course the engine that could. That's what I consider that little course.
That's so cool.
So it's
Yeah,
like
I'll definitely link to that.
visuals and writing exercises. You do one exercise a day. You do build on a little bit, but yeah, that course was channeled. It took me a year to create it, and there's a free exercise that you can see if you like the format. But I remember when they asked me to create this course, I was so resistant. I was just so resistant. I'm like, I don't want to create a course. I don't want to do this. They kept on like pinging me. And now I'm really happy I did, because that course Yeshua, we do mirror exercises. Yeshua was very insistent. The Octurians has an exercise, Isis and Athena. And it's really a conglomerate of collaboration between different celestial beings for all these exercises. And I mean, you guys won't know which one came from who, but I just actually looked at it the other day because I'm helping another teacher create her own course. And so I was showing her my course. And I said, this is how I did it. You could do a hybrid. Do you really want it all written? You can incorporate a video. You can incorporate meditations. And, so it was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So you can find the link to that in the podcast comments. I will add that as well as your website and all the information so people can find Isabelle Zimmerman on the web. And it was super delightful to chat with you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. No, thank you for doing this and pushing past fear.
Indeed. Yes, I'm back. Woohoo. All right. Well, have a great day.
You too.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.